Hi and welcome back to the channel. Today guys, we're going to be talking about Algorand. We're going to be taking a look at the technical analysis on the hourly, daily and weekly timeframes and giving my thoughts and opinions on what I think is going on with the price action. As I get into today's video, if you do find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord, what you're waiting for, check it out, linked in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. So why not go ahead and check it out. Let's jump right down into today's video, kicking things off with the 1 hour time frame. So here we have Algorand paired up with USDT. We're on the 1 hour time frame. Binance is our data source. So let's jump right down into it, right? So what do we see? Most recently we have a bit of a pull to the downside with the rest of the crypto market, and we want to kind of ascertain whether or not this is anything terribly unusual, scary, or any of that kind of good stuff. For the most part, it does look like we have completed a 5-wave pattern most recently. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. So right inside here, we'll go ahead and pull this over and we'll just check, did we hit 1.618? We did. So very, very easy to kind of just check to make sure we are in fact on the impulsive break. We'll then just check to make sure that the wave 4 and wave 5 hit expectations. It does. So nothing unusual, very standard stuff, which is good to see. Following the rules of Elliott wave theory, as you would expect, and we have this 5-wave pattern here. Okay, so the next thing we need to figure out here is, because we have a 5-wave pattern, is this the end or is this the beginning? And I think it's the end. And again, I'm just going to check this wave 5 over this side just to make sure that we actually truncated. It's interesting. So failed to reach the expectations, but it does look to me like that is where it went. And for the most part, could be the zigzag. And let's go ahead and check on the expectations on the larger scale of things here. Just pull this over and we come down on almost to the 1-to-1, not exactly, but close enough that I'm happy to say that looks like we are there. So let me show you. We have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then all of this is just A, B, and C. It's a zigzag. Okay, there's lots of different kind of terms, and I know a lot of people don't like the idea of all of this kind of stuff, but for the most part, it plays out time and time again because you're tracking people's behavior. It's not about the candlesticks, it is about the people who are buying and the people who are selling, and these particular patterns have a very specific formation when we see them. So you'll find that 5-wave patterns are either going to be impulsive or zigzags, and unfortunately zigzags are getting more and more common in the crypto space these days. So it's interesting. So this basically completes this corrective move to the downside. However, we have to consider everything that led us into the bear market low here for Algorand. Okay, so coming in down on the low side, I'm just going to see if I can snap that in right there. On the 17th of August 2023, we had a low of 8.2 cents, right? And so we have here some interesting kind of patterns and structures in themselves as well. So right up here, we have a high, this high being right here on the 8th of August 2023 at 11.91 cents. Okay, we can see that we pushed back down, we rallied up, and then we had this impulsive move down. And so realistically speaking, we are looking for a continuation of this move. We also have this diagonal based pattern up here as well, and I would say it is looking like a contraction. So let's go ahead and take a look at that right in here. So I'll tell you, I kind of want to take it here. It's very much not so contracty if we look at that. Not that that's a word, but we kind of get the thing in here. There we go. So we have this, we had the break, then we rallied on down. What we want to do is we want to check the low of this structure here and the high of this structure. We then want to move this over to our high here at 11.91. And then we want to see, yeah, we hit this 1.618. This is important because essentially what we've got going on is then a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, up here for 4, and then down into the 5th. Now we have no overlap with wave 4 and wave 1, and this wave 5 is under a zigzag pattern like this, going to potentially be a diagonal, and it's going to be a pretty large one. So expect some turbulence essentially here when it comes to algo. And our expectations mean that a new bear market low is probable unless proven otherwise. So we'll be targeting out the 7.1 cent to 7.79 cent. Okay, and that's going to be our fifth wave expectations on that. Then, of course, you can acknowledge we had this move up here, but this is basically just corrective. Okay, so it's a three-wave move right here as well. And now I'm probably spanning over into the daily, to be fair, because this is something that's going to take multiple periods of time to kind of see. But to me, it looks like we are potentially just in either a series of like a triple correction. It could be a triple zigzag, for example, or a 335, which overextends. It doesn't make it impulsive because we don't have the impulsive beginning, but it's an interesting one to kind of keep an eye on. Okay, so let's take it up into that daily time frame, because here you can see just how bearish Algorand is, right? We are below the 50 and 200 EMAs, and we have been all the way since we had that death cross up on January 22nd, 2022. We've been underneath the 50 EMA pretty much this entire time, with the occasional spike above, and we are still finding it as resistance and still being dragged to the downside. Okay, so nothing looking strong here for Algorand. Now, you can love Algorand, but it can, you can kind of look at it from a fundamental point of view. You can say the technology is great, it's fantastic, and I agree. I think it is, but from a technical standpoint, the price action is incredibly bearish. Okay, we are in a bearish structure that formed back in December of 2021, and we have not broken out of that on the daily time frame. Many other cryptocurrencies have in fact actually broken out of their bearish structures a couple of times, but Algorand has not. So here we can see the change of character. We can then see we've got a break of structure to confirm it just over here. Okay, this then carried down into another break of structure. And then this most recently has broken down again into another break of structure. It is incredibly bearish, and it is below every time we get a touch point, as you can kind of see on the 50 and 200 EMAs. No breaks have been seen here on this either. So although we kind of might want to be really bullish on it, it unfortunately is in an incredibly bearish position, and it continues to set new bear market lows. And so there's nothing here to say that we're likely to get a break upwards of significance. Now, and what I mean by that is break out of the bearish structure. Ultimately, I think we are going to see a bounce, and it will be reasonable. But I do not expect us to break above the 200 EMA. Currently, that's sat at 15.37. Now, we are oversold on the weekly, daily, 8-hourly, but we've still got a lot of work to do, in my opinion. Expect a new bear market low at some point for Algorand. I think that's kind of a bit of a given at this stage. A bounce upwards towards the 50 EMA, possibly at 10 cent, is something that we might be able to see over the next kind of couple of weeks or so. How it reacts to that is going to be quite interesting as well. Taking a look at it from a weekly standpoint, again, there's not a huge amount of data here on the weekly time frame, but again, we look at this and it doesn't look strong either, below the 50 weekly and below the 200 weekly EMAs. Obviously, there's still a lot of slippage here. From an Elliott wave theory point of view, the structure is just so impulsive to the downside, it just doesn't give us a lot of strength. For example, you can see that we most recently finished this little pattern here, or in the process of finishing this little one here. This is, of course, a part of this one, which comes in like so. And so we still expect new bear market lows to occur. Ultimately, it looked like a zigzag under this pattern, though. I do suspect that even if we come down, we wouldn't be able to hit the 1.618 out of this structure. So from the high that we had in November down to the initial low in June 2022, that little mini bounce would indicate that we'd come down to about 4.2 cent. And we'll just be done with a correction. It would be a giant three-wave pattern that would look like this. So although impulsive, it's not a detriment to the future of the project in any way. It just means that we haven't finished this pattern and we still have further to the downside to go, which means much cheaper Algorand. And that might be music to your ears. That might be the worst thing since sliced bread, or the best thing since sliced bread, whatever the saying is. Ultimately, I suspect that we got further to the downside on Algorand, and that could be good if you're looking to accumulate, and it might be bad if you've been going all in already. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below, but I think I'm going to wrap this video up right there. If you found it useful, smash the like button. If you're new, subscribe, and if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, what you're waiting for, check it out, linked in the description down below.